On a little bit of a side note, Chechi, I actually saw your video clipping as part of the amFOSS induction video, where you
Okay.
mentioned, yeah, where you mentioned that you've traveled to over 10 countries as part of your studies. So I was curious, what was that like, traveling so much?
It was fun. It was more than 10 actually, but
Oh,
I
wow.
think around. Yeah, I mean, in Europe, okay, so let's say Netherlands is the same size as Kerala. So it's not, here traveling from one country to another in Europe, it's like traveling from one state to another in India. So it's not a big deal to count the number of countries because, yeah, in Europe, if I have the visa for Netherlands, I can travel to any other countries in European Union region. So it's easy to just I can take a bus from the front of my apartment and go to Germany in 1 hour. It's that easy. So it's not a big deal, but it's different. Like cultures are different, languages are different, so you feel the difference. But I think what really fascinated me was the climate in all these places. I was in Finland. I remember when I was boarding flight from India, it was plus 30 or plus 25 something. I arrived in Helsinki, that's the capital of Finland, and it was like minus 15. And then I waited 2 weeks, it was minus 27, and it was like fully snow, and it was my first time seeing snow in life. I was very excited. And yeah, it was fun. It's a whole new different atmosphere, and you can also see the difference in which people, um, the way people are. In Finland they're more silent. In Netherlands they are a little bit lively, but sometimes they are very direct in what they say. In Italy it's more chaotic. So it's a very unique experience. And of course there are some difference in the food, but yeah, it's more in terms of people, in terms of the building, in terms of yeah, it's a very nice experience to travel in Europe. I would highly encourage you guys to do that as well, because traveling really opens up your mindset, and it also it relaxes me a lot. That's why I travel. But I've learned a lot of things from my travel. You meet a lot of people on the way, and you learn a lot of things. So it's always a fun thing to do. But you need not wait to come to Europe to travel. You can already do in India, and India
Yeah.
has, I think, more diversity than what Europe has. um, I mean, here, even if you take like in terms of food, okay, they have bread and in a soup and the main course, okay, there are some variation. But in India it's amazing. Even within Kerala you can see a lot of variations. I
Yeah.
think most students, I think, you can plan like an yearly outing, to somewhere, go to Manali or go to Gujarat, Rajasthan, just and explore our own country. I haven't done it. That's why I really want to do. So I want you guys to experience it. Yeah, and maybe I'll join when you guys go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
would be
that'd
great.
be nice. Yeah.
Yes.
What are some of the countries that you visited, though, just out of curiosity?
Well, most of the countries in Europe, so Finland, Sweden, Germany, Netherlands, Italy, Greece, all these countries. But I've also visited Turkey, and Istanbul. That's a very, very unique experience because it's right in the middle of Asia and Europe. So
Yeah.
basically, in Turkey, you have a bridge that connects Asia and Europe. So you see a mixture of both. Like some streets would be like European, but in some street I felt like, oh, I'm home. This is like, okay, it's very busy. The street, the way people are, it's mostly Asian. So you can see a mix of both in Istanbul. And so I think Mediterranean region is something that always fascinated me. I really love their food. So Turkey, I went. Yeah, and then during BTech, we also went to Israel, and that's also very, very amazing, very inspiring country. We can learn a lot from Israel, um, and how they have grown to be one of the superpowers in the world. And yeah, it was very eye opening and interesting experience. Yeah.
Chechi, so you studied in Finland as well? So like
Yeah, I
I've
did my
heard,
master's there.
yeah, I've heard a lot about Finland's education system. I'm not sure if
Mhm.
that applies to the university as well, but like I've heard that they have a very different take on education, like less homework and more focused on like practical work. So did that apply while you were studying there?
Yeah, so how Finland does it is, I think they start their schooling at 7 kids were 7 years old, and it's mostly like very few hours of teaching. They don't give much homework, and to actually be a teacher in Finland is more harder than to be a professor in a university in Finland. So they give a lot of importance to primary school and the way education is built up. And it's also the way I think, like the elected representatives think. Sometimes they think, oh, I'm elected, I'm here for 5 years. What changes can I bring in 5 years? But I think in Finland, it's more long term. They make students comfortable. They start from a very young age, but they think of a long term goal of because these are the students, that come later on, and they go into industries, they pay taxes, so they are the ones who are helping to grow the society. So I think one thing I like about is they don't really think about the five-year term deadline, but they think in a very long term perspective. So that's something fascinating. But yeah, teachers really need a lot of skill set in Finland, to be able to teach in primary school, and that's something, it's very very different than what we see in other places. As for universities concerned, uh, well, I had a lot of assignments, a lot of homework. So I wouldn't say it was an easy ride, but it was more focused on practical. Yes, there were a lot of assignments that were like made, so that students gain the practical knowledge, and they also focus a lot on entrepreneurship, and they encourage more students to build startup. And the first thing I think. No worries. So the first thing that they tell you is that, okay, you're coming to me for funding, but if you haven't had like two or three failed startup, I don't trust you. So they really encourage people to build something, and even if it doesn't work, it's okay, but you need to. So I think that conducive atmosphere is something that Finland provides. Yeah, but universities had a lot of homework. It wasn't otherwise. Yeah.